Hi, I'm Dr. Barry, and in this short video, I want to dispel 3 myths that are very commonly believed out on the interwebs about fruit and the sugars that fruits contain. Now, the first myth is that fruits contain only fructose. They don't contain sucrose or glucose. Many dietitians and nutritionists and many nutrition gurus on the World Wide Web seem to believe this, and they talk about this on a daily basis, when in fact nothing could be further from the truth. Virtually every fruit on the planet contains a combination of not only fructose, but also sucrose, that's table sugar, and also glucose, known in some countries as dextrose. There's almost no fruit that is just purely fructose as its only sugar. And I want to go through 5 very common fruits with you quickly and show you this. Now, I pulled this information from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Data Central database. They have a listing of virtually every food you could dream of eating, how much protein, how much fat, how many carbohydrates, what kind of sugars, vitamins, minerals. And I'm going to put a link to this database in the show notes so that if you have a food and you're wondering, hey, I wonder how much sugar's in that, you can look it up. And now these numbers they vary from fruit to fruit. So if you have a really big orange and a really small orange, obviously the big orange is going to have more sugar. It's going to have more carbohydrates. The smaller orange will have less. This goes for all fruits. The size matters. How ripe they are when they're picked matters. How ripe they are when you eat them matters. All these things matter. But so consider these numbers rough averages or guidelines as we go through these 5 very common fruits and just what kind of sugar they have in them. So fruit number 1 we're going to start with is the time-honored banana. So here's the banana, and here's just the relevant carbohydrate portion from the Food Data Central database from the USDA website. So I underlined the 3 different types of sugar contained in a banana. And so a lot of people will tell people, they'll tell diabetics, oh, bananas only have fructose. They won't raise your blood sugar. And nothing could be farther from the truth. As you can see, and now for all 5 fruits, I've just picked a 100-gram serving, which is about 3.3 ounces. Okay, and I picked that on all 5 so I want you to have an idea of the ratios of sugars and the relative amount of sugar in each fruit. So obviously if you eat more or less, there's going to be more or less sugar. But in a 100-gram serving of a banana, there are 4.2 grams of sucrose. That's just pure table sugar. Granulated sugar, like your grandmother had the little bowl on the dinner table with the little spoon in it. That's 100%. So sucrose is made up of a combination of glucose and fructose. And so this sucrose is absolutely going to raise your blood sugar. It contains 5.5 grams of glucose, which is 100% going to raise your blood glucose level. And it has 6 grams of fructose, which even though it won't raise your blood sugar, it will contribute to fatty liver and other metabolic problems. Now, the next fruit we're going to talk about is green seedless grapes. Every parent thinks this is a very healthy snack to give their young children. Let's look at the sugar content. Now, this is a 100-gram serving of seedless green grapes. Some people call them white grapes. It has virtually no sucrose in it, but it has 7.5 grams of glucose, which is absolutely going to spike your blood sugar and therefore spike your insulin. And it also contains over 8.5 grams of fructose, which is going to contribute to fatty liver and other metabolic abnormalities. Next is the venerable apple. You know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So an apple, 100-gram serving, contains 2.06 grams of table sugar, sucrose. It contains 2 grams of glucose. Both of those are going to raise your blood sugar, no doubt about that. And it contains over 7.5 grams of fructose, back to the fatty liver and other metabolic issues. And now the fruit that put Florida on the map, the navel orange. A 100-gram serving of a navel orange contains over 4 grams of just table sugar. In addition to the table sugar, it contains a little over 2 grams of just glucose, and it also contains 2 1/3 grams of fructose. Now, the orange is an excellent example of citrus fruit. Many people think that since citrus fruit tastes sour or bitter, that there's probably not a lot of sugar in there, but you can see from the orange, there's quite a bit of sugar in there, not only fructose, but also sucrose and glucose, but also very sour citrus fruit like lemons and limes and grapefruits are also full of sugar. And then finally, we're going to get a little on the exotic side with a delicious mango. A mango has almost 7 grams of table sugar in it. In addition to that, it has 2 grams of glucose. In addition to that, it has over 4.5 grams of fructose. Now, I picked these 5 fruits not because they're super high in sugar. They're not the highest sugar containing fruits, but just they are representative of the most commonly eaten fruits around the world. And many people think that fruits are very healthy, and that brings us to myth number 2, that the fructose and the sugar in fruits is somehow magical and somehow different than the fructose that is contained in, say, a Pepsi Cola or a Coca-Cola or a Dr. Pepper or a Mountain Dew. And I'm going to put up the molecules here for you to compare. On my left is the sucrose, glucose, and fructose molecules that occur in fruit. And on the right is the sucrose, glucose, and fructose molecules that occur in a 20-ounce Coca-Cola. Now, I want you to look very carefully and see if you can notice any difference in the molecular structure of these molecules. Now, of course, that's a trick question because they're exactly the same. There's no difference. There's nothing magical about fruit sugar. And that brings us to the third myth about fruits and the sugars they contain, is that somehow, even though fruits contain all the sugar, they also have fiber, and they have vitamins and minerals, and they have phytonutrients in them. So somehow the goodness of those things outweighs the badness of the sugar. And so my answer to that myth would be, what if I took a 20-ounce Coca-Cola and I put some vitamin C and some polyphenols in there, and I put some fiber in there? Then would that Coca-Cola, would that be a healthy thing to give to your young child? No, it's still sugar coma, even though you put those good things in there. And so I don't hate fruit. I love fruit. I love mangoes. That's my favorite fruit. I could eat a pound right now. But if I did that, I would develop some degree of fatty liver and my blood sugar would shoot sky high. So in deference to my health, I choose not to eat fruit very often at all because it's too high in sugar. I fatten easily, and I develop hyperinsulinemia very easily. I become pre-diabetic very easily. And so I eat a diet that keeps my blood sugar and my insulin levels very low and keeps my liver free of fat. I think that the health that brings more than outweighs the flavor that I'm missing from not eating fruit. So I hope this short video clears up some of the myths out there. And if you know someone, a very prominent doctor, dietitian, internet guru, who are saying things that obviously are not true, you might consider sharing this video with them. And you're also welcome to share it on your favorite social media. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.